Hi, I'm Bonesy. I'm out here with Abbey Lakes with Neil Rivers and a mate of ours, Rob. I'm just going to talk you through quickly how we tend to fish out here. We don't tend to fish any different to the UK. A lot of people think when they come out to France that you need big baits and lots of baits. We've been here for a day now and I've used no boilies, nothing at all. I'm just going to show you the rig and talk through the rig a little bit and the bait we're using. We've got some 12mm Dumble nutter bait that we've had made up for us. Jason's working on these in the workshop, and some little 10mm pink perils, which is another one that he's playing around with at the minute to see if we can get it right. And all I'm doing is I'm doing similar to like a snowman. I'm just trimming the pop-up down, taking about a third of it off, taking the top of the 12mm off just to make it flat. Just push my baiting needle through, try not to go into my thumb. And that's my bait, and that's as small as I'm using. Now the fish in here go up to 69 pound. Okay, so it doesn't need to be a big bait for a big fish, that's for sure. I then simply drop that onto the hair. We do use slightly bigger hooks. I tend to use a size 6 hook out here. Back in the UK, sticking to 10s and 8s. When you see the size of some of these fish's mouths, when you see a 50 out on the bank or a 60 out on the bank, and you see just how big their mouths are, you can pretty much understand why people tend to use a bigger hook. Some of the Dutch guys go up to 4s. I've heard people using 2s, but I found 6 to be quite good. The Kraken Hook, I used the Fox SSC. It's a great curve shank hook. Doesn't really need the rig tubing. I like to put a little bit on there just for a little kick. Turns really well. But one of the other things that I will say that's really important is I like to use an extender stop. Now the reason I use an extender stop is because there's a lot of crayfish in Fox Lake. Now the crayfish are very wily. We popped a zig out this morning and a cray walked the zig down. We actually managed to bring a cray in. That's how wily they are here, and what they've discovered is they can pick out the boilie stop and steal the bait. So what we do, little extender stop, pull it up, drops into the bait nice. I just line my bit of silicone up with the barb of the hook, and there's my finished rig. Very simple, very easy, not really that much dissimilar to what I do in the UK. Place it on my hand, do the palm test, should turn and grab. Nice and easy. That's the bottom lip right there. Then I use some of this nutter food dip. I'll take my rig and I'll just drop it in there while I prepare my bag, just to give it that extra little bit of flavour, extra little bit of attractant. Leave it sat in there. We like to use these long bags. Obviously in the UK we tend to use very small bags, but these fish out here are big. I've watched big fish in the edge. 2 kilos of sweet corn going in the edge, 2 or 3 30s have cleared that up in less than 10 minutes. So that gives you some sort of idea of just how much food these fish can eat in a matter of seconds. Very simple to do. Take hold of the bag, I'll put a little bit of pellet in the bottom, just level it off there, take hold of my rig, drop it into the bag down the middle, and then trap my hook link with my finger. That way the rig can't bunch up. I like to keep it nice and straight because then I know it's not going to tangle. In go a load more pellets. Just a little bit of glug for a bit more attractant, just a little bit. The water's not too cold at the minute, it's actually a lot warmer than what we expected. A few more pellets in there. Like that. So the bag's nearly full. Now this is a technique called the parachute bag. Now the parachute bag was introduced to me by a good mate of ours, Big Dog Daddy Hughes. He showed us this out here a few years ago, and it's a very simple technique. It's been talked about a lot over the years. Goes in and out of fashion, I think, but works very, very well out here. And simply you have a sealed bag and you don't release the air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push those pellets down, get them nice and flat, twist up the top of the bag and hold it. And as you can see, the bag's very firm with air. Then take a nice section of PVA tape, take hold of it with my left hand, leaving a tag, wrap it round the bottom of where I've twisted once, twice, 3 times, then tie a very simple overhand knot. Now one of the bonuses about PVA tape is it's quite elasticy, so what you can get away with is when you pull that tight, you can let off a little bit of pressure as you tie the next one and not worry too much about it pulling undone. 2 overhand knots and it's done. Pair of scissors, trim off them tag ends like that, and then what I'll do with this excess bit at the top is I take my scissors and, being very careful, I cut down towards the knot, making sure I get nowhere near the link. take hold of the link, pull that through that gap and hold it down the side of the bag. I can then take hold of that excess and just trim it off straight. Once I've done that, I take the corners. Whether this makes a difference or not, I don't know. We all do it. We all make it look neat and tidy. More so for casting, I think it's important, but we're using the boat, so it's not so important. Give them a little lick and stick them down. The other side as well, you can see how much air's in there, look. Stick that down, and we're done. Now the idea behind this bag is that it sits on the lead. When it goes to the bottom, the bag sits up like that in the water. As it melts and explodes, you get this lovely carpet of pellet, and then the hook bait just drops very slowly and sits on top of it. And the idea is, the fish comes along, seeks out the bait. One of the first things it takes is your bait.
Alright guys, we're here at Abbey Lakes. Chris talked you through yesterday about the bags that we use and the bait bits and pieces that we use out here at Abbey. If you're going to go on to one of the holiday venues, especially here at Abbey Lakes, one of these comes in handy. If you can't get one, borrow one. It doesn't have to be like this, it can be any sort of bait boat, but in here we've got some big fish. In here they go up to about 69 pounds. Lots of 30s, lots of 40s, a few 50s and a couple of 60s. If you don't have one of these, you're up against it straight away. Not saying get one, but if you can get one, borrow one, hire one, they come in handy. Obviously, with Chris showed you yesterday, these bags, you can't really cast them, but with this, you just attach it to the rod. Just leave that, and you're ready to go. Into the boat. Shut the hop up. Leave the bag on the top. The S7 pellets have been doing really well. This is what we're catching them at the moment. Nutter dumbbell in there with a little bit of pink, a little bit of nutter liquid. Just drop that in there. This is the bait we're using at the moment. Over here you can use hemp, pellets, anything really. But there are a few crayfish in here, so you just want something that's a little bit crayfish proof. So maybe a bit of plastic tiger nut. But in Fox they do like a good old helping of pellet. Right, so we've got that. Again, this boat does have an echo sounder, but you can have a lead around, you can pop a marker float up, but when the fish are on you, don't cast a lead out to them. In England, yes, put a lead on their head. Over here, if they're in front of you, don't do it. They'll just scoot off straight away. We found that straight away. Yesterday we put the boats out, within half hour Chris had 6-7 bites just by putting baits on showing fish, so fingers crossed we're going to get some today. Right, obviously we're going out here we've got an echo sounder on this boat, so we're just going to try and find some spots with the echo sounder. Me and Chris always fish together. It's quite handy. It's not easy to having a boat and a rod and just trying to keep an eye on what's happening and where you're going.
It's quite a good idea. Just as you can see down there, I've just got my finger on the lip of the spool, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep the line tight, not bowstring, but just tight enough that the line goes out in a straight line, because what you might find is if you release the bail arm and lay it down, sometimes there can be an undertow under the water. You can end up with a real big bow in your line and you won't realise. If you're fishing a slack line, then you might think that your line's nice and straight and slack towards the area, but actually what you've got is a line that bows right the way around, which is going to really limit your bite sensitivity. Also, so you can see there's my finger, look.
Also Chris, just remind them never to use it off the bait runner. Always open the bail arm, otherwise you'll get line twist galore and then you'll get a load of tangles. So just always open the bail arm, keep your finger on it, or even better still, get your mate to do it.
I'm not his mate. I'm not his mate. So anyway, here's the underwater footage of the bags. What we've done is we've done 3 different bags. 2 of them we've lit the corners, one of them with a bit of liquid food in, all using the new S7 pellet. We've tried one with a distance lead, one with a square pair, and one with an inline, just to see the difference. This is the first bag. You can see as the pressure at the bottom starts forcing the air up to the top of the bag, this is how the parachute bag's supposed to work. This is only in about a metre of water, a metre and a bit of water. We were just doing it in the edge, dropping it down, see how it looks. It's quite surprising actually when you look just how upright it holds the lead up. That just shows how much air is actually in one of them bags to actually lift it up. So the bag starts splitting at the top. Now this isn't how you normally envisage the parachute bag to work, but it's come down, it's sat there over the lead. I think I'll be quite happy with that presentation. As this bag's going to split, it's going to hide everything quite nicely. The hook link, with it being a semi-buoyant hook bait, nice and balanced, isn't going to drop down too far. You can see there the bag's just starting to split and finish. That's a nice presentation. I'd be quite happy with that one. There we go, it's just finished. You can see them nice S7 pellets, look, not one of them floating. Ideal, a lot of pellets you can get on the market at the minute tend to float up, but these new ones from DNA, they really are good pellets. I really like them. Caught quite a few fish on them. You can see obviously from the trips before that we've had a lot of fish on these pellets. Quite happy with that. Look. Second one, this is the square pair lead. Now you can see what's quite interesting about this one. This one's got the liquid food in. Again, it's in about a metre of water, just over a metre of water. But look at that lead. That lead is sat dead upright. You can see the liquid in there, look. There's quite a lot of liquid in with the pellets. Again, we want to see what it does. They're all reacting pretty much the same. You can see the air moving up to the top of the bag. You can see the bag's nice and tight at the bottom. But it's that lead. Look at that lead. Just upright, bolt upright. Now those leads have got quite a flat bottom. And if you watch the video through, as it breaks, you'll see why you must never use a square pair lead with a parachute bag. And the reason being, you can just see the water leaking into the bottom of the bag there. It's splitting at the bottom, but it's going to pull out in a sec. Wait for it. Here it comes, just starting to split. The air's lifting it up, and it's coming up and dropping the hook bait. But look at the lead. Lead's still bolt upright. That great food liquid there, the liquid food there, look, making a lovely cloud. I know it's not in really deep water, but it would work exactly the same, obviously. But it's all snarled up. Now, that's not a fish. That's not going to work. You know, that's a massive. The lead sitting bolt up like that is just not going to work. So just a bit of advice for you: never use a square pair lead with the parachute bag. Moving on, the last one. This is the one that we knew after looking at the other two is going to work. We've gone to an inline lead. We've got a little kicker on the end, anti-tangle sleeve there. Hook link. We haven't licked the corners of the bag. Okay, I think this is going to be really important. What it's going to do, it's going to allow a much bigger air pressure at the top. You can already see there, water's coming in at the bottom. The bag's desperately trying to pull off at the top. It's going to split. The bag's going to vanish up the top. There goes the air bubble, drops down. Perfect. That is the presentation for me now with a parachute bag. As long as there's no snags or a great deal of weed in the lake, I'll be more than happy. Inline lead, anti-tangle sleeve, pink pop-up. Happy days.